northern Luzon is set to get impacted by a severe tropical storm or a very weak typhoon Krosa or Vinta out here, especially there on the northern portions of Luzon. Aparri, located right here on the very northern tip of Luzon, is really going to be taking the brunt of this. Already starting to see some tropical storm strength winds out here and some pretty heavy rainfall, and that is going to be the main impact from this. And I said severe tropical storm or weak typhoon. Right now, still severe tropical storm. One agency, the U.S. military out here, is calling it a typhoon. I think it's still aggressive as of making this update. Typically, when you get a typhoon, you at least get a defined eye, and as you can see here in the microwave imagery, an eye is showing up. So we may get, this may be a weak typhoon at this point, but they're actually showing right around 80 knots, up to about a category 2. Definitely not that strong at the very least. But for all intents and purposes, if we got a storm of 60 knots, or 65 knots with defined eye or not, it really doesn't matter because the main impact is going to be the heavy rainfall. And this is just another look. We're seeing that microwave imagery down here near the bottom. And yeah, there's that eye developing right there. So it's right at that threshold. But take a look at just the cloud cover, and that's going to be where all the heavy precipitation is. Even down there towards Manila, we're looking at some pretty heavy rain showers here, possibly going through a Thursday evening. But as I've been saying the last several days, the bulk of the heavy rain showers, where the risk of flooding is and where actually signal force 3 has been raised, is here in northeastern Luzon. You can see these areas in red. That's indicating upwards about 50 to 100 millimeters in just the course of a few hours, possibly in some areas here. So very severe risk of flooding. Also risk of landslides as it comes through. And also we're looking at the risk of some high waves. So hopefully no fishermen have ventured out here along the northern coast of Luzon in the past 24 hours. And as of making this update, actually here on Thursday right around noon, there has been no reports of anybody missing. So there's the good news there. But you can take a look at this, up to about 5 to 6 meter high waves near the center of circulation here. Nothing you want to be out and about. So let's take a look at a few of the tracks and where this storm system is going. And just a heads up, actually, we just put some new updates here for the Tropical Information Center. You can go through and take a look at all the tracks on one page. We have Bagyo here. They're actually skirting the northern coastline, impacting Aparri. If we scroll down, taking a look at the current warnings, a few areas are in signal force number 3, and this encompasses typhoon strength winds. Typhoon strength about 120 kilometers per hour, so they're saying possibly up to 185 is possible. Widespread areas there in signal force 2, and then even extending down towards Aurora and Batanas, you're looking at signal force 3. So pretty big area being impacted by this. Let's take a look at JMA's track here. Now this is the official track from the RSMC. Very similar output right now, winds 60, gusting up to 85 knots. Also remember at this time, Bagyo and JMA both calling this a tropical storm. On the other hand, JTWC with a very strong strength here, about 80 gusting up to 100 knots. I think that's too aggressive, either 60 or 65 knots. But like I said, it's really just going to be the rain here that's going to be a main problem and the risk of flooding. Now, after it passes, Luzon, and I do agree with JTWC on this. Definitely it's going to continue to be a typhoon there in the South China Sea, move south of Hong Kong, likely out towards Hainan. But the key thing is, once it gets over here, we have the northeast monsoon coming in, and it's going to start to show some rapid weakening as it approaches Hainan here, and actually may very well not be a typhoon either. I mean, we take a look back at JMA's storm track, and they actually have it intensify, but then in the long range start to weaken beyond the 72-hour mark as it pushes off there, at least according to the JMA. And we can see that clearly take place here with the GFS model outlook. Just take a look at this. As it goes into the South China Sea, it maintains somewhat of a stronger intensity, but as it approaches Hainan, just that cold air coming in, you can see this big high pressure swooping in from the north. That's going to drive a lot of dry air into this, and it just kind of fizzles out into nothing. And really, if you're in Hainan or Vietnam, do I expect a full-fledged storm system to impact you? It seems, well, highly, highly unlikely. Just take a look at the 300 millibar winds. Look at that jet stream dip so far down here by the weekend, and that's just going to drive all that shear into it, all that dry air. Meanwhile, if you noticed here, take a look at this in long range with the GFS, and that right there towards the east of the Philippines. Let's go back to the surface. This is 10-meter high winds. And yeah, something's developing. Let's compare it up with the NavGem, see what's showing up here. This would be impacting the Philippines possibly by next weekend. The nav gem a little bit stronger on keeping that intensity here. I don't think that's really going to unfolding. We're going to look at a weaker storm, but possibly a severe tropical storm or maybe a weak typhoon impacting Hainan. Vietnam, not so much. Take a look at this though. Nav gem actually shows a system hitting the Visayas. Now, this is still long range by next Wednesday. So next week, really into the weekend, could be quite active out here for the Philippines. This is the GFS model, kind of zoomed in. It actually shows up on one other storm impacting here by Monday and Tuesday, impacting the Visayas area. And then the big one comes in by next weekend. And this right here just showing something moving down here towards the Baikal region, then moving across the Philippines. Let's take a look at the MSL for the same time period. By early next week, some pretty heavy rain showers. But take a look at this. This is the big one I'm talking about. By basically the Friday, November 8th, right there, making a landfall there into southern Luzon as a full-fledged typhoon. So next weekend could be quite interesting. We're going to continue to keep you posted here at westernpacificweather.com. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, though,